What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 23 of season 1 of the slowly but surely ending Delicious in Dungeon. I guess it's ending next week. I'm not looking forward to that, but we'll get there when we get there. We're going to talk full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you've watched this episode, and we'll do a real quick recap. A lot of things happen in this episode. It's kind of crazy. First off, we start the episode with a really, really dark story of Senshi's origins of entering this dungeon. Him and his dwarf group went in. He was apprehensive. They weren't. They were, wanting to find stuff here, and they end up getting lost. They started running out of rations. They started going out trying to find food. They were losing people left and right over time, and the whole time they wouldn't let Senshi go with them because he was young at the time, kind of useless to them. And eventually it came down to him and two other dwarves. They're all starving to death. There's a lot of tension rising. And then finally Gillian and the other dude ended up going outside. Only Gillian comes back, feeds Senshi, leaves, never comes back. And the whole time it kind of is implied that he might have went out there and killed the other dude to feed Senshi, which was really fucking dark.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, dude. I'm already kind of jumping into my thoughts in the episode, but I was like, this is fucking grim. Anyway, he ends up being alone for a little bit, rationing the last of the food, ends up making an escape, runs into some orcs, kind of makes nice with them after a while, and then is able to find the exit of the dungeon, and then he's just kind of been floating around the dungeon for a while. He was told, though, when he ate that soup, that it was griffin soup, and so he has had it in the back of his mind for a long time, what he thinks he ate and what he was told what he ate. So he's been kind of trying to avoid that to not have to come to the realization of, what he thinks he ate, basically. Really fucking dark stuff.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Laios with his big brain is just like, hey, let's eat this and find out. So basically, Senshi confronting, finding the truth, even though it could be absolutely traumatizing for him. They end up eating soup, basically how it was made before, from this griffin. Oh my god. It's not the flavor he remembers. So this instantly makes him think that he did, in fact, eat one of the dwarves. But then they find a circle of mushrooms that are changeling mushrooms and put the meat on that, and it changes it over to a hippogriff, right?
Yeah, because Laios suspects that the griffin isn't a griffin.
Yeah,
but it's a hippogriff.
Yeah, because he's the monster guy. He's thinking about like, well, this doesn't make sense. This makes blah blah.
Yeah.
So he ends up switching it over to a hippogriff, and makes soup the exact same way again. And Senshi has a moment tasting the soup he tasted a long time ago again, kind of giving him the closure that he needed and that I needed, because I was like, this is rough, dude. I didn't know Senshi was carrying this whole fucking time. They have that moment, then they're walking off. They step in the mushroom changeling circle and all get really sick and wake up to my fucking nightmare of seeing them all completely different in mostly all things that I hate. Like Chilchuck is a human basically, and he looks ridiculous. I couldn't stand looking at him.
Most dejected dude ever.
Dude, he looked like people I've known. He looked like Shaggy. Like he just looked like a dude who just doesn't have a shit going on in life. Like ridiculous. Laios is a dwarf, and he oddly. I feel like Laios can make any of them work. Like he was just all right. I guess I'm stronger now. The part where he's bending the bars. Oh god, Marcel is a half foot or whatever they're called.
Half foot, yep.
Yep. And then Senshi's an elf, which is criminal. It was bothered the shit out of me.
He wasn't just an elf. He was a handsome elf.
Yeah. At the beginning, he's like covering himself, and he's got all this stuff floating around him. You guys saw. But and then Izitsumi is a kobold now, which is funny because it showed like all of them, and then it's like, oh, by the way, and it's just like she's just a dog. So yeah, they're trying to deal with their team comp changing all of a sudden, and they gotta set out and try and find some more mushrooms to hopefully reverse the problem that they've ran into. All the while, finding out their new racial based strengths of people being able to jump across chasms or people throwing people across, and like I said before, Laios breaking bars with his hands. And yeah, while they're wandering around, they find a door that they can't get through. What was the significance of the door? They thought that the lion or Yod or something was.
It's the deepest part of the dungeon that anyone's been to.
Yeah,
and no one's ever been able to get the door open.
Yeah, so they're trying to get that door open. Kenosuke ends up opening it for them, which was weird.
Oddly, yeah.
Out of Laios' sword. And then they get attacked by gargoyles, and quickly find out that none of them are ready to fight things in their current form. Chilchuk just runs off and falls, and Marcel tries to cast a spell, but she doesn't have the same equipment to be able to do that efficiently, so she suffers magic sickness. Izutsume was like going crazy because she smelled blood or something.
Yep.
And they're trying to calm her down, and then Senshi, oh god, what did he say? He wouldn't
his
lift
pot was too heavy.
Yeah, it was too heavy for him. So Laios went fucking insane and just tried to do what he could do as a dwarf. And yeah,
he was getting tired easily.
Yeah, they end up entering the door, closing the door, and end up making food. Laios finds out that dwarves get hungry faster, so he understands why Senshi's so adamant about cooking. And then they make food. What did they make again? Oh, dumplings with hair in them, because Izutsume.
Somebody made hairy dumplings. Yes.
Yeah. And then they kind of are looking around the room that they're in, and they start talking about kind of the history of kind of like a arms race or something between
dwarves and
elves and dwarves, and basically ends the episode with if they run into elves, because the elves are going to get involved with dungeons, and this dungeon possibly, and that the only elf they have is Senshi, which is not good, and he can talk for them basically. So I think that's everything. Mm-hmm. Thoughts? This is a crazy fucking episode.
It was a crazy episode, and it started off super dark, which was a weird tone to set.
Also, yeah. This episode, I know I asked you what you thought, but it's just crazy how like dark this episode started. I was like, holy shit. I had no idea we're starting that way, and I had no idea we're going to end the way we ended.
Yeah.
Like this episode, we're getting to the end of the season, but like this episode was like, hey, we're going to do some really crazy shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they did a very good job of the implications of Senshi's torment, basically.
That could have been a whole show on its own.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. And and they did a good job like presenting it, and then also Laios deconstructing it was also very interesting, because his first thought when the story was being told was the blunt object to the head. In his head, it wasn't that. He got hit by a pick or something like that from one of the other dwarves. He was like, hippogriffs don't have blunt weapons.
Well, that's kind of the genius of the way they told it, is because we're seeing it from Senshi's perspective. So the first thing we think, just like he thought, is that they fought each other, he killed them, and he's got to feed Senshi and himself, basically. But it's weird because Laios is so fucking weird-minded that he's thinking about the monsters he brought up.
Well, and it's funny, too, because he even brings up, he's like, there's no griffins recorded to be here, but there was a hippogriff mentioned to be here, and they have hooves. That's a blunt weapon. Mm-hmm. And so he goes to this thing, and then he's thinking about the mushrooms. He's like,
all this deduction.
He's like, okay. He just, Sherlock Holmes all of a sudden. He's like, I know what happened.
Yeah, he's just so crazy about monsters that, he's able to figure that out, which is kind of crazy, which also explains, because he's Laios, but also explains his less sympathetic point of view, because he was like, I don't buy it. Like, that couldn't, like, that doesn't make sense.
You're right.
So
yeah, well, and you can tell he wasn't even thinking about the prospect that. He obviously knew it was a possibility, but he was just like not convinced. So.
I just love how Senshi tells that story, and everybody's just like, "Oh shit!" And then Laios like for a split second, Laios for a split second is like Senshi, and then he's like, "We should try the soup. Like, let's figure this out." And he's just like, "Okay, I don't think it's what you think it is, so let's figure this out."
Yeah, so that was wild. It was also like, obviously good because, you know, we get to experience Senshi getting over his demons or confronting them and to everyone's relief, realizing the worst situation wasn't what happened.
Yeah. Even though it's still a really fucked up situation they got into. Regardless if he ate somebody or not.
Well, it's funny thinking about it too now because obviously we know that, and it showed it in the dungeon, after they changed their shapes while they were sleeping, the dungeon changed. The dwarves, when they entered, they had no idea the dungeon was constantly shifting. And so they got stuck in that room, and all of a sudden they could never get out because, they just didn't have the experience and the knowledge. So
it's creepy, too. They entered from a different place.
Because they were mining, so they were already low.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's also interesting seeing like how gold it was and how much of it's been stripped over the years. So, which is, where our main characters, original main characters came from. So, yeah, and then them just kind of going through the changing of races with each other was absolutely hilarious. And I have to say, with the exception of Chill Chuck, and obviously it was very comedic, but they're all freakishly like good looking in their other respected races. Yeah. Senshi too much so. But like Laios was like a really like he was convincing looking dwarf, and Marcel was a very adorable half-foot. So like I don't know, it was,
and his Itsume just a dog.
Yeah.
Like
the same derpy kobold look we've seen a couple times in the show now. And then them kind of going through and like learning these new bodies and stuff. I especially like the montage of them traveling and them just chucking Marcel.
Yeah, or is it somebody just point up the stairs because she sniffed? Like, it's like, okay.
So that was fun. I am curious how they obviously are going to get back to their original forms because there's no way they're staying like this forever.
I hope not.
Yeah,
although
it's a fun bit. Yeah.
It'd be crazy if like I've never watched anything where people just. Their team comp just changes permanently. They're just different people now, basically.
But my big question, especially at the end of this episode now, because knowing there's one left, is like, where are we leaving off this season? And like, is it going to be some like crazy cliffhanger that I'm going to be stuck thinking about for the next 2 years? Like, because I assume it's going to be a while till we get another season. So
I think they're going to run to the elves.
Either that or they're going to run into the lion or the mad mage or like who knows, right? So
or
Fallon again, right? Like who knows? Yeah, it's kind of crazy because there's so much they still have to do, and we have an episode left. So obviously there will be more later. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the manga is still going. So
yeah.
But anyways, it was a good episode. It had a lot going, and they really did a real good pull the rug out from under us type of thing in the beginning. So
whole episode, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I said last review and every review that the show's always surprising me, and this episode was definitely a surprise. I did not expect how grim it started in that story, which adds a lot of depth to Senshi as a character. Like, that's pretty dark that he went through that. He turned out pretty all right. But then, with the whole body switch things, it's crazy. But yeah, I really liked this episode. It was a really good one. I mean, I think every episode's good, but this one was a really good one, just because I really liked the storytelling of Senshi's past. It was kind of interesting to dive into the dwarven world and how they kind of, work and handle things, and their dynamic, especially in such a desperate situation that, there's a bunch of people in this dungeon, but they start off at a pretty low level, so the dungeon's kind of crazier than, the upper areas. And just seeing, what Senshi went through and starving and all that stuff, pretty brutal. I also really liked the mystery that we got to find out in real time, basically, on if he ate somebody or not. I mean, I wouldn't judge him if he did or not, because obviously the circumstances, but, for his sake, I'm glad that he found out that he didn't. Seeing him cry when he ate the soup was, a touching moment. And then, stepping right in the mushrooms, it's just ridiculous after they just used that.
Of course it was Laios.
Yeah. I just like how it just starts spraying out spore stuff, and then they're all sick and thinking they're dying. And then yeah, the body switch was just so ridiculous. I'm still trying to get over that because specifically Chilchuck, man, that really bothered me. I hate first off that he, as soon as I saw Laios, and I'm like, he's a fucking dwarf. What does that mean for everybody else? And then you see hear Chilchuck, and you see him. I'm like, I already assume he's gonna be bigger anyway, but like that he has like the 5 o'clock shadow, and he just looks like really just kind of like. I also love his because his senses aren't as in tune as what when he was. Yeah, that he felt more calm as well because he's just not sensing everything around him. That was fun, and then Marcel as a half foot. I mean, it's obviously different, but didn't seem that different for her, I guess. She seemed pretty normal. Her and Laios did pretty good in their new bodies.
Though it was funny watching her hold the bottom of her staff. That's like ginormous to her at this point now.
And that she was still able to do magic. She just doesn't basically have the mana to do it. She switched classes or race. And then Senshi is just like completely useless.
His personality completely changed too. He got like real like bashful all of a sudden.
Yeah, that him and Chilchuck really bothered me. I was like, this is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. I feel like we were violated seeing that. And then Izutsume just became like a lesser version of herself already, like just a more dumbed down version. But that was fun. Real dumb. Yeah. And then the fight scene was a lot of fun too, with the gargoyles and Laios going absolutely insane once he realized he had no backup. Everybody's just down, and he's just like, "Oh fuck, I have to do this." He starts just screaming and swinging. Surprised he didn't do his dog barking thing. And then the episode ends in a really interesting way because they're kind of just talking and about the room and the elves, and then just ends. No credit music. And it's on Netflix, so just like instantly just went to the next thing. And I was like, okay. So the next episode, hopefully we could skip the intro and get more time with the episode, because this episode just like, I don't know, just left like a cliffhanger. Like I need as much as I can get out of the next episode as possible. So
it was interesting too because, and I had brought it up to you, but like I don't want to spoil too much for another show, but in ReZero season 3. They pulled a similar thing where they like the intro and the outro basically didn't exist, but the credits were still on the screen. They were just kind of in a corner somewhere while the episode was still going.
Well, a lot of shows, when they have a finale, if they need to run longer, they'll do the credits during the show as well. Because I've seen that in a couple things. I want to say like Demon Slayer or something. I don't remember, but they always do things very cinematic anyway on their intros and outros of the seasons. And I prefer that. Like I do like the music of the beginning and ends of episodes. But when you don't have much time left, you have one episode left, you got to tell as much story as you can. Yeah, please just take up those slots or those times to just continue the episode and put the credits on the screen. It's fine. So that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, really good episode. Really liked this one a lot. The creativity was just fucking through the roof. And yeah, I'm really dreading the last episode because this has definitely been one of the best animes I've seen in a while, and I'm not ready for it to end. And hopefully we get a season 2. If anyone finds out about that, let me know.
Typically announcements are done after shows end. So.
When you find out, because I don't follow anime stuff a whole lot. So, yeah, really good. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think of this episode. What were some of your biggest takeaways about the whole Senshi situation, about the whole race swap thing? Is there anything that happened in this episode that we didn't talk about that you'd like to talk about? Let us know in the comments. And where do you think things are going? Unless you do know because you read the manga, please don't tell us. No spoilers, please. Because we've been watching this whole show without spoilers so far. We got one more episode, so do us the favor and let us just experience it. And yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Delicious in Dungeon. I've been Seth, this has been Chevy, and we will talk to you guys very soon. See you later.